the sad story of Stephen Wangondu, billionaire who hired hitmen to kill his son to take his son's wife. As Kenyans went home after enjoying 2021 New Year's parties at different spots in the country, for one young businessman from Nyeri County, Mr. Dan Mwangi, the trip back home was his last moments alive. Unaware of the danger that awaited him right outside his gate, Dan drove home right into the hands of killers contracted by his father, Stephen Wangondu. As he opened his gate, the goons stabbed him like Vikings and left him dead. Right outside his gate and beside his car that was still on, waiting to enter his home. A scene that shook the sleepy town of Mwega, which was still nursing the hangovers of an eventful night. You wonder how father and son got here. Well, here's the gist. Stephen Wangondu was a successful businessman who lived in Wendiga village in Nyeri County. His main business was agri-farming for export, whereby he owned fish farms and several tea and banana plantations. Farms that turned him into a billionaire after investing their profits into rental apartments and petrol stations. Stations which were strategically located at Matatu stages, one in Nyeri CBD and Mwega CBD to ensure maximum profits. He also invested in the mining business, owning a stone-crushing plant in his hometown of Mwega along the Nyeri-Nyahururu highway. His success made him irresistible to 80s baddies, and for a man with an insatiable sex drive, he married 3 beautiful Kikuyu queens who massaged his back in intervals. Beatrice Merle Wangondu, Scholastica Wangondu, and a third, Mwangi's mom. He lived with his wives at his mansion on his expansive 100-acre farm in Wendiga, where the good Lord blessed them with 9 kids, 4 boys and 5 girls. For easy mobility of his large family, he gifted his wives either a Range Rover or Land Rover, depending on their taste, which they used to carry out their errands while looking after his 9 kids. Kids who he took to the best schools in the country, while raising them with equal love despite being half-siblings. He took insurance covers for all of them, and occasionally dressed boys in suits like him. And as the adage goes, ugali comes from flour. One of his sons embraced Nyayoism and followed in his father's footsteps in agribusiness. That son was Dan Mwangi Wangondu. Dan Wangondu was a dog lover who had turned his love for dogs into a business. He bred and trained German Shepherds for sale, something he loved so much that he put his dogs as his FB profile picture. In addition, he assisted in managing his dad's businesses, something his father was really proud of, and supported him in his own ventures like Club Stesco Mwega, which he opened. The club was on top of a bank. However, as he managed his father's businesses, he always clashed with his dad's confidant and driver, James Mahinda. Mahinda was his dad's right-hand man, who had access to finances and the power to decide who meets Wangondu, something that irked Dan. However, since God doesn't reside in Lagos, he gladly sent an angel his way to kill him with beauty and love, something Dan gladly accepted as he spent his everything courting this beautiful damsel. Her name, Frida Njeri. Love brewed, and they were blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, making Wangondu a grandfather. Thanks to these bundles of joy, he gifted Dan with 20 acres of land where Dan built his matrimonial home to raise his family with Frida. However, what Dan didn't know is that just like you and me, bro, who are looking at this babe like, damn, she can Garrett, his papa was also seeing his daughter-in-law like that. As the days went by, the two got into frequent problems like normal couples. Some they worked on like D Major's song, but some left them more separated than ever before. A separation like Tokodi and Ekarapa where you live separately. And a separation that revealed the true colors of his dad, who without shame moved in with his daughter-in-law and set up a business for her. Something that really disturbed Dan. Up to a point where Dan was drinking every day, trying to figure out what was going on, because this was like a bad dream. Deep in angst, he resorted to confront his dad like a man, a confrontation that turned violent. On the 1st of Des 2020, he confronted his dad in public at his Mwega petrol station and angrily asked him, "Why are you hosting my ex?" Shocked by the question and mannerisms of his son, Wangondu tried to mumble his way out of the public confrontation, but it was at this moment he knew he had messed up. Just like MP Salasya, Dan landed a heavy slap on his dad's aged cheek. Pa! A slap so hard that Wangondu angrily picked up the phone and called his driver, her right-hand man, Elijah Mahinda, and told him, "I have 160K, find a team. I want that boy dead.